Welcome to the SFUSD GOFAST video, how to add a voucher and submit for approval. In this video you will learn how to access the regular entry or voucher launch page. Search for a vendor. Attach the invoice file. Add a SAX code and split between SAX codes. Save the voucher. Run a budget check. Submit the voucher for approval. And then view a printable voucher. This demonstration uses the web browser Internet Explorer version 9 and PeopleSoft Financials version 9.1. This training video will show how to add a voucher for a payment that is under $1,500, otherwise known as a direct voucher. The exceptions to the $1,500 limit, in which case a requisition or a request for a purchase order will be required, are for computer equipment over $500 each, computer software totaling over $200, audiovisual equipment over $500 each, and furniture over $500 each. Book orders under $1,500 may be purchased directly from the publisher. From your PeopleSoft homepage, click Main menu. Select Accounts Payable. Select Vouchers. Select Add Update. Then, select Regular Entry, which is also known as the voucher page. You should be on the regular entry, or voucher page. Click in the field next to Short Vendor Name to search for the vendor. In the Short Vendor Name field, enter the name of the vendor. If you do not know the correct name of the vendor in the system, click the lookup icon, which is in the shape of a magnifying glass, next to the field. Select the correct vendor. You will be able to verify if you have selected the correct vendor by matching one of the addresses in the vendor record to the remittance address on your invoice. The vendor information should fill in automatically, but if it does not, just click in the vendor ID, vendor location, or address sequence number field. The vendor address chosen in the system must match the remittance address on your invoice. Click on the lookup icon next to address sequence number to verify if the correct address has been selected. Clicking on a lookup icon launches a pop-up box. You can expand the size of the box by clicking and dragging the lower right-hand corner. Click on the address that matches the remittance address on the invoice. Type the invoice number. Make sure it matches the invoice number exactly, otherwise the accounts payable department will deny the voucher and send it back to you to correct. Click the calendar icon next to the invoice date field. Click the down arrow to select the correct month. Select the day, and make sure the year is correct. At gross invoice amount, type the total amount due the vendor. Do not worry about freight, sales tax or other charges. Click the Add button. You should be on the invoice information page. Click on the Attachments button to attach the invoice and any other scanned or electronic documents that you would like to include with this record. The invoice must be attached to the voucher record. If you do not include the invoice, the accounts payable department will deny the voucher. Many copy and print machines have a scanning function. Please contact your Xerox representative to learn more about this feature. You can also use a flatbed scanner that is attached to a computer, or request that the vendor send the invoice electronically via email, as an attachment to the email. Click the Add Attachment button to begin attaching the invoice. To search for the invoice that you would like to attach, click the Browse button on the File Attachment pop-up window. In the next pop-up window, search for the folder where the invoice file has been stored, and then click on the invoice name. Click the Open button. Your file name path should now display in the File Attachment pop-up box. Click the Upload button. Under the description column, you can enter a description of the file you have uploaded. This is an optional step. If you would like to make sure that the invoice you have uploaded is the correct file, click on the file name. This will launch a new tab or window. After verifying the file, close the tab or window by clicking on the X. You may upload any files associated with this voucher. To add another file, click the Add Attachment button. Click the Browse button. Select the file. Click the Open button. Click the Upload button. Only the invoice file needs to be visible to an approver. Click the checkbox under the Show to Approver column if you would like the file to be visible to you only. Enter a description of the file. This is an optional step. Click OK when you are finished uploading files. To add any comments that will be visible to you and any approver, click the Comments button. On the Voucher Comments page, enter any additional information you would like to include with the voucher. This is an optional step. Click the OK button when you are ready to return to the invoice information page. Make sure that the amount to the vendor is the amount displaying in the total field. Scroll down to the bottom of the page, to the Invoice Lines area. The description field in the Invoice Lines area is where you can enter a log or reference number for the voucher, if you are keeping track of your payments. This field is not mandatory and may be used for your reference only. The Distribution Lines area is where you enter the SAX code. The total amount due the vendor is already in the Merchandise Amount field. If you want to split the amount between two or more SAX codes, click the plus sign on the left side to add another line. On the upper left portion of the page, you should see a pop-up box where you can enter the number of budget rows you would like to add. Click the OK button. In the Distribution Lines area, enter the amount you would like to apply to the first SAX code in the Merchandise Amount field. Enter the amount you would like to apply to the second SAX code. Make sure the total amount due the vendor is the sum of all of the merchandise amounts. Now you are ready to enter the budget information, or SAX codes. You may obtain a list of the SAX codes that are valid for your department or school site by contacting the budget office, or by looking up the individual codes in the new budget status report, called Perky. Click the lookup icon next to Fund to select from a list of available funds. Select the correct fund. Click on the lookup icon next to Resource. Select the correct resource. In the Budget Reference field, enter the current budget year. The budget year runs from July 1st to June 30th. Click the lookup icon next to Goal. Select the correct goal. Click on the lookup icon next to Function. Select the correct function code. Click on the lookup icon next to the Object field. Select the correct object code. Enter your department or school site code in the org field. If you enter a different code, your voucher record cannot be saved. This is the last field you must complete in the Distribution Lines area, unless you are splitting your SAX codes. Do not fill in any fields to the right of org. If you are splitting the amount between two or more SAX codes, go to the next distribution line. If you already know the exact SAX code, you may type the numbers in their respective fields. Start with Fund, enter the number, then click the Tab key twice to move on to the next field, which is Resource. Now that the budget information has been added, you are ready to save your voucher. Click the Save button in the lower left corner of the page. After saving the voucher, the system generates a voucher ID number in the top left part of the page. In the upper right-hand corner, click the down arrow at Action. Select Budget Checking. Click the Run button to run a budget check. A message pop-up box appears. Click the Yes button. The Submit for Approval button shows up under Attachments and Comments. If you receive a budget error message, there will be no Submit for Approval button. You will have to correct the SACS code, then run a budget check again. When you are sure that the information on the voucher is accurate, click Submit for Approval. An Approval Comments page appears, where you may enter comments that will be seen only by the next approver, which should be your supervisor. This is an optional step. Click the OK button. Now that the voucher has been submitted, your supervisor will receive an automated message from PeopleSoft with a link to the approval page for the voucher. The voucher will also show up on your supervisor's work list. To see where the voucher is in the approval process, click the Approval History button. The Approval History page displays the approval tree. After your supervisor approves the voucher, it will be sent to the accounting analyst for approval. If your supervisor denies the voucher, then it will display in your work list as denied, at which time you have the opportunity to make corrections, run a budget check, and then submit for approval once more. Click the Return button to go back to the invoice information page. If you would like to see a printer-friendly version of the voucher, click the Print Invoice button. This launches a new browser tab or window. To return to the invoice information page, click on the Close tab or window button, or simply click on the Regular Entry tab. This concludes the SFUSD GOFAST video, how to add a voucher and submit for approval.